Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout podcast. Kelley here, and today I am here to tell you you're not tired, you're tapped out. This episode is all about how to distinguish between physical tiredness and nervous system dysregulation when your nervous system is saying, absolutely not, I need help. And this is something I feel particularly equipped to talk about, not just because I'm a licensed therapist, but honestly, just because of my own personal experience with having a dysregulated nervous system. A couple of months ago, I stumbled onto something. My sleep has been terrible to mediocre for years, and there are many reasons for that. I am in my early 40s, so that means perimenopause is knocking at the door, if not already present. I also have some health conditions that relate to sleep. I had an extremely stressful last few years. 2024 was a tough year and the hardest year of my life, but it's not been the only tough year I've had. I've had many years. The year before that, I had a surgery I was still recovering from that went awry. So it's been a lot of years. I would say the last 3, 4 years have been extremely stressful, even up until me leaving my job. Honestly, I could probably go back 5 years and tell you between the burnout from being in my job, leaving my job to start my own business, having a surgery that went awry, having both my parents really ill, yada, yada, you get it. My own physical stuff going on. Not surprising that sleep has not been amazing. But I purchased one of those smart rings, and the whole purpose of purchasing it was to basically check and see what's going on with my sleep, because something new, or maybe not new, but I started actually being attuned to, was happening, which was like I was falling asleep easily, but then I was waking up early, unable to get back to sleep, or I would have this moment where I felt like, oh, it was a perfect window to go to sleep. But if I was TikToking beyond that window, or even reading a book I liked beyond the sleepy window, my sleep was shot, and it went from going to bed at like 10:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I thought this ring would help me. I bought of my own money the Ring Con. And what it showed to me was something I got really concerned about, which was that my heart rate was spiking while I was in sleep. And I thought to myself, am I having nightmares? Not ones that I remembered. But my sleep rate was going up to like 100 and over 100 multiple times. And that alarmed me because during the day, sitting on the couch, my heart rate was never that high, not even close to that high. And it was reporting it as an outlier, that just like in the middle of the night, my heart rate would just pick up and spike. And I had already done some cardiac stuff. This had been picked up before a year ago. And we went to the cardiologist and nothing really came of it. They said my heart was completely fine. So when it was still happening a year and a half later, I thought, well, what is this? Long story short, doctor visits later. I'm now on a beta blocker. And the bottom line is what happened was I was told that my body has kind of reversed itself, like my circadian rhythm is off. And it's because my nervous system has been stuck so long in stress, it does not know how to calm down. And so it is acting like it's awake when it's supposed to be asleep. And sometimes beta blockers help lower your heart rate so that you can sleep better and stay asleep. And that was also why I was waking up. This was happening unrelated to how tired I might have been. I was exhausted, and yet my body was like, "No, we're awake here. We're gonna keep doing what we need to do. We're gonna be like we're working out." This particular story of mine and this experience is really what's shaping this episode, which is that sometimes it isn't about naps or better sleep hygiene. Sometimes it's about being tapped out and the long-term consequences of being tapped out for too long. I basically want to serve as a cautionary tale. Don't let your life get so stressful that you have to be on a beta blocker to regulate your heart, because your body no longer knows how to feel safe and how to be at rest. Now, before we get out the world's smallest violins for me, things are better. I feel better. And my sleep isn't as terrible as maybe it may be sounding. I do get sleep. I am able to go back to sleep now, and I've been able to do that for some months now. And it does make a difference. But I do want to highlight and use my story to talk about the difference between being tired versus being tapped out. That when you're tapped out, we're talking about something on a much deeper level, much deeper emotionally, potentially even physically. But it's not the same as when you're tired. Because when you're tired, you've had a long day, you just got back from vacation, or you pushed your body a little bit more while doing some joyful movement. Whatever that may be, you had a long stretch of days where you are working sun up to sundown. Whatever that may be, those moments require sleep. And having a really good sleep hygiene routine makes all the difference so that you can catch up on that sleep and continue on. But when you're more tapped out or your nervous system is dysregulated, you're living in a body that's on overdrive. And if you've been doing this for years, which I suspect many women of color and Black women have been doing, you can't easily downshift. You can't easily switch to your sleep hygiene routine. So this is for folks that have struggled despite doing all the right things, quote unquote. I certainly know what that's like. That even with all the baths and the soothing music and the meditation, you can't sleep even when you're exhausted. Maybe you have racing thoughts at night, or you might have physical symptoms like me where you have high heart rate or your body's carrying tension, you have stomach aches, headaches, things of that nature. Again, it's perfectly reasonable why this would be happening, particularly to Black women. We are taught to internalize our stress, internalize our pain, internalize any negative emotion. Black women self-silence or betray themselves because if they often speak up, they're labeled as aggressive or angry. They're conditioned to say, I'm okay, even when you're not, because we've learned that sometimes when you speak up, people won't listen, or in cultural context, you might even have been punished in the past for talking about your discomfort. In general, women are continually self-silenced. Think about the absence of information we have about menopause and perimenopause, but long before that, just our cycles. That so many Black women, particularly, have extremely painful periods, and that is not normal. I know I was in my 30s before I realized that you're not supposed to have a painful period. I was like, what? That's just life. Actually, it's not. But a culture of self-silence will have you thinking your debilitating cramps are just the price of being a woman in 2025. Chronic stress is directly responsible for nervous system dysregulation. In a body where you feel physiologically in fight or flight mode all the time, you can't shut that off. And chronic stress will do that to you. When your body constantly feels threatened or under attack, you cannot regulate yourself. And we now know that chronic stress can come in so many different ways. Just what's happening in your personal life, but also what's happening on a political or cultural stage, what's happening around the world, the horrors and tragedies that we may be witnessing over and over again dysregulates our nervous system. And if we don't know how to regulate our nervous system, it's not going to be good. It leaves us overtired and tapped out. Again, if you are having extremely painful periods, if you are experiencing heart rate spikes, I'm not a medical doctor, but go see one. Normalize asking for help. Another thing we've been conditioned not to do. I can't tell you how much I would push off a doctor's appointment or just feel like, I'll get to that. Don't wait. Take care of yourself now. Let's be real. One of the biggest sources of burnout for Black women is money. Whether it's debt, divorce, home buying, investing, or just trying to make it to the next paycheck, financial stress is real and it's exhausting. But here's something that can help: the Savvy Ladies Helpline. It's free. Yes, really free. You get 55 minutes with a certified financial expert, no strings, no judgment, just real answers to your real money questions. Want to build wealth, prep for retirement, figure out how to invest, or navigate money after a breakup? They've got you. Savvy Ladies is on a mission to make financial education accessible to all women, and the helpline is a game changer. So if money is stealing your peace, I invite you to take one powerful step toward financial freedom. Visit savvyladies.org and book your free session today. You don't have to struggle alone. You can opt out of burnout and into clarity, confidence, and peace with your money. So when we talk about constipation, bloating, heaviness, sluggishness, these aren't just random symptoms. They're actually your gut's way of telling you something's off. Look, I'm going to be real with you. As a podcaster and a consultant and a writer, I'm always on the go. And I have struggled for years to maintain my energy, to really keep myself kind of together with bloating around my cycle, all the things you can think of. This is where Oxy Powder from Global Healing came in. Oxy Powder isn't just another cleanse or quick fix. It's a targeted oxygen-based formula that gently and safely breaks down and flushes out waste and toxins that build up in your gut over time. I take it at night, and by the morning, I'm feeling lighter and clearer, just better. Oxy Powder is easy to take, and because of that, it's become a staple in my routine. And I'm not the only one. A consumer study showed incredible results. 95% said that it relieved constipation, 87% said it felt relief from bloating, and a massive 95% said they would use it again, with 93% recommending it to a friend. If you're tired of feeling weighed down, trust me on this. Head over to globalhealing.com/heal and try Oxy Powder for 20% off. You'll thank me later. That's globalhealing.com/heal. It may be as simple as a tiny little pill with no side effects in my case. It may be therapy and somatic exercises. The point is that it doesn't have to be that difficult. And it's okay to say, I need support to reset my system. I know I did, and I'm happy for it. I'll tell you what won't help: ignoring your symptoms, ignoring anxiety, or ignoring the resentment you may feel about being pushed and pressed. The constant performing and overfunctioning of having to look, I call it Instagrammable, even though we're probably beyond Instagram at this point, but this kind of social media context where we constantly have to perform wellness, hotness, having it all together. It leads to a pattern of overfunctioning that isn't going to help you reset your body. The other thing that doesn't help, which I hate to say it, being on the go all the time, including on vacations. A vacation cannot reset your nervous system if you are tapped out. Catch-up rest, meaning I'll deprive myself of sleep chronically for months and months, but on Saturday once a month I'll sleep in, does not help a tapped out nervous system. And saying I'm going to add one more hour of sleep, if your sleep is poor, won't help either if your nervous system is tapped out. None of those things are bad things. Take the vacation, try to go to bed earlier, but it will not fix a dysregulated nervous system. And certainly, self-silencing and burying your emotions won't. So, what will? This is the part that's exciting, because so many things that will help you reset your nervous system are the things I've been talking about, and more importantly, don't have to be super cost prohibitive or difficult to do. The first thing I want to recommend is small nervous system resets. We're talking breath work, walking, grounding in your body. These are simple practices that anyone can do. If you follow me on Substack, plug for Substack, I'm going to talk about a few of my favorites and put some links to the ones I love. I might even put some links in the show notes this week. But it's very easy to do. I teach some simple ones, and I promise you, it will help. It may not be the cure-all, but it will help. The other thing is you need to exist in your life in a calm nervous system, a regulated body. And it doesn't have to be as hard as you think, but it is the foundational step. The other thing is thinking about boundaries, saying no to constantly overgiving and performing, taking time for yourself, setting up those habits that aren't afterthoughts or yearly vacations, but daily practices of self-care and pouring into yourself before pouring into everyone else. The third thing is go to a professional. I have a therapist, I have a doctor I trust, I have a gynecologist I think is fantastic. I have a team of professionals that help me stay healthy. Without them, I would be so much worse than I am today. We need to stop the stigma around asking for help, making those annual appointments, taking medication if you need it, having therapy. They're just as valid ways to treat anxiety or physiological illness as breath work is, as for some people who pray, prayer is. We need to stop prioritizing one over the other. Both can coexist. You can walk away your stress, and if you need a medication intervention, you can also take a pill and proudly take it. It's not one or the other. And something I'm very proud of that I do, the last thing I recommend is starting with joy. If all these other ones seem difficult, maybe it's time for a joy reset. That means intentionally choosing activities that'll bring calm and ease to your life. Think your favorite playlist or music, creating a ritual around your morning so that they're uplifting. Diving into your creativity is always a beautiful thing and can oftentimes reset yourself joyfully. Not everyone's solution will be the same. There is no one size fits all to this. It's about playing and experimenting and figuring out what works for you. But I want this episode to be a call for you to pause, to do it, to start the exploration. Don't let the last place you come home to in your life be yourself. You're worthy of more. You're worthy of joy. And that requires that you take time to do it. So, as we are still in our summer of yes, though at the end of it, I want this episode to serve as a moment for you to think, what have I learned this summer? How was making intentional space for me to enjoy myself something I want to ritualize and maintain? And beyond that, maybe there's a moment for you to go deeper now. You started the journey, keep on it and go deeper. And as fall comes into view and we get all kinds of cozy, it's one of my favorite seasons. Maybe it's time to get cozy with your body and figuring out what works for you. How do you feel? When is your annual appointments? Checking in with your doctors, not ignoring symptoms that you've put on the back burner. Maybe it's time to go a little bit deeper into saying yes to more exploration and making time to know yourself and to feel truly home in your body. So much of us as women spend our time escaping our bodies, beating our bodies down with ridiculous workouts or starving ourselves or going the other way and just refusing to move our bodies or eating to the point of illness. We punish ourselves. What if fall looked like nourishing ourselves, loving the body we're in? So, my closing question for you is what's one sign that you're tapped out, not just tired? I've given you some examples of what I've gone through and what it could look like, but for yourself, do a little exploration around that. And try one nervous system reset this week. Again, on the show notes, I'll link to one of my favorite videos. It runs through several quick nervous system resets. It could be joyfully dancing, it could be meditation and breath work. Whatever it is, can you commit to doing one thing this week? And finally, as you know, if this episode resonates, share it, send it to your mama or a friend or your mentor, someone who maybe is tapped out and doesn't know it. All right, that's it for this week's episode. There will be a bonus one on Friday. I've decided I'm going to do another one for you all. But in between then, you know how to connect with this podcast and with me and how to support the work. It's Black Girl Burnout across all platforms. We have a little corner of the world called Substack that I'm in love with. It's free to join. I go deeper. I write. It's more like a blog format. We're almost 10,000 strong there. That's crazy, y'all. I only need about maybe 400 more subscribers to hit that. So if you want to help me hit that ambitious goal of 10,000 subscribers to Substack in 7 months, it's totally free. And you might like it there. It's a great community. And not all of them are podcast listeners. There's also a pay tier if you want to support the work, which helps the podcast as well. For $8 a month, I do a little extra for those who patron my Substack. And as always, leave a review. They make a difference. We were just named one of the top Black women's podcasts. I think we came in at number 5 on someone's list. And it was based upon the reviews that you all leave. So it makes a difference. So if you haven't yet reviewed the podcast, I have to gently ask, what are you waiting for? Please leave a review. All right. Until next week or the next episode, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and rest well.